And welcome to another edition of the Tom Green podcast. Tom Green, as usual, here. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Before that, I do want to say personally that I want to thank those that have reached out and that have provided words and calls of support. As unfortunately, my uncle had passed away earlier this week. In fact, I had to cancel a show. I was going to do a Pistons Knicks preview earlier this week, but I had to cancel that because of, the start of grievance. But, sometimes in life it happens, but you do move forward. You turn the page forward, and that's what we're doing here in the Tom Green podcast. And for that, we brought in Florida Panthers season ticket holder. And she's got a bit of a social media presence as well, Kassi Coviello. Cassie, great to have you on the show, and great to talk with you.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. And one of my favorite things to do is talk Florida Panthers. So, a lifelong fan, like you said, season ticket holder. So, super excited to chat all things Florida Panthers and NHL playoffs. Best time of
Ab-
year.
Oh yes, absolutely. I would say, and that I think that'll kind of be our starting point, is of the four major sports, I would consider the best playoffs to be the Stanley Cup playoffs, because yes, you have to win 16 games just like the NBA, but as I've seen on sports science and different other things, um, the checks are 10 times, sometimes 10 times harder than a big hit in football. And you have to do that 82 times a year. And you have to win
Yes.
16 more just to win the Stanley Cup.
Definitely. I agree with you. I think they're also the most exciting playoffs as well. Not only, I think, the hardest trophy to capture, but I definitely think it is the most exciting playoffs. Like, even if your team's not in it, you see a lot of buy-in from around all the NHL fan bases where they're like, yes, I'm still tuning into playoffs, round one, ready to go. And of course, all the way through the Stanley Cup final.
Absolutely, and that is a thing about the NHL playoffs is I think that unlike a lot of other professional sports and professional teams, a lot of players do have that sense of pride for an NHL team, unlike especially in the NBA, but in the NFL, MLB, especially with how contracts are in Major League Baseball, there's a lot more pride in the NHL versus other professional sports.
Definitely. I totally agree. And it's really, you can really feel when the teams are clicking and rolling through the playoffs and when you have a really good unit. I mean, really biased, but I feel like my Panthers team is one of the best all around units. Everybody's buying in, everybody's fighting for the same goal, fighting for each other. And the players say that all the time in all their interviews. And you can really feel the sense of it. And even on the fan side, you feel the community aspect as well, going to games before games around town, seeing someone in a Panthers jersey, you're automatically ready to go talk to them and talk a little bit about hockey. And especially heading to the games, the tailgates, the pregame, all of that, even postgame, you just really feel that sense of unity and team just all the way throughout.
Absolutely, and we'll talk more about this series in just a little bit. But first, let's hear a little bit about the story of Kassi Coviello. How did you
Yes.
become a season ticket holder? And pretty much as far as I see it, and of course, talk about yourself as well. But I see you as a bit of a content creator too.
Yes,
Aspect.
yeah. So lifelong Florida Panthers fan. In my family, when you're born, you're given your teams, and that's who you're rooting for. So I became a Florida Panthers fan from literally day one and started attending games when I was maybe, I think, 1 or 2 years old. My parents took me. So I've been growing up going to games every single year. Then I went to college nearby the arena. So I started going all the time, and that was kind of in the days where the tickets were super cheap. They were giving them away. And it was perfect timing for me. So, because as a, broke college student, being able to attend games for a few bucks or get, free tickets was perfect. And then, becoming a season ticket holder, surprisingly, this is my first season as a season ticket holder. So many people are surprised when I tell them that just because I've always been going to games all the time. But after last year's run and paying out of pocket for all of those games, I was like, man, I really want those season ticket perks. So made the purchase last July, and this was my first official year, and it's been awesome having, the season ticket holder community too. They do a really good job there, being able to mingle and meet with them. I even renewed for next year, so I'm already excited to get into my seat again next year. And now have my playoff season tickets, which is really exciting and way better pricing, which has been my favorite part so far.
Oh, absolutely. And unfortunately for Red Wings fans like yours truly, which I will say that you've probably researched me a little bit. I do live a little over 2 hours north of Detroit, and that's kind of tough for season tickets, especially. But one thing I will say is that the Wings are raising season ticket prices yet again on a failed campaign for the playoffs, which does not have Wings fans yeah, does not have Wings fans very happy at all,
Yeah.
I'll say.
Yes. Yes. I thought I saw some rumblings of that online. And, of course, that as to be expected, Panther season tickets did go up again this year, which isn't a surprise. And I'm totally okay with it after capturing the cup last season. But still, you feel like you get such a good value and they do so many fun, like season ticket holder perks that it's just so, worthwhile. And now, especially heading into playoffs, it's in a really exciting time.
Economics is a lot about supply, demand, and value, which with the same supply, you're going to have raised demand, which will raise prices. But thankfully, in the Panthers' perspective, and I'm sure your perspective, value has also gone way up.
Definitely worth it. I think they said this past season was the first 100% full season ticket holders. They had a wait list for the first time, which is super exciting because obviously there's always been those, jokes about the Panthers fandom and base. So it was really nice to be able to kind of put those to rest. And we do have a full house, basically every single game. And now season ticket holders are at capacity and the wait list for them recently one of my friends, she got off the wait list, so she'll be a season ticket holder with me next year, which is super exciting. So it's always fun to bring in, especially those lifelong fans, into, the perks of season ticket holder life.
And of course, a lot of a lot of today's social and today's personal aspects are a lot about self, but it's always good to have friends involved, especially when you're doing season
Yes.
ticket holder, doing season.
Definitely. Yeah. And like you mentioned a little earlier, I do a lot of the content and hockey creation, which is really just such a large passion of mine. And I've been doing for a few years now and thought, why not? I enjoy it so much and wanting to bring some fun to social media and the community and something fun for myself. So that's how we connected. That's how I connect with a lot of sports fans, especially, hockey and Panthers fans. And, this is someone I met, through Instagram or X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And it's been really fun and it's so much fun to do because you get to share your love for the sport and the team and then connect with those who also, have that similar love and passion as well.
What's crazy is that that was actually going to be my next talking point is that we talk about your content creation.
Perfect.
So that's kind of what this show is really all about. It's the main points are Detroit sports variety and fun. This isn't Detroit, but you know what? It's sports too. It's variety, and I hopefully you've been having
Yeah,
fun so
it's
far.
fun.
Start the show,
Yes.
and that's kind of what's
Yeah.
been the main aspect of it. So, moving
Yeah.
towards this Panthers series, I actually
Yes.
will ask this question to start, and that is, are you a fan of how the NHL playoff bracket has been designed since the four divisions have been put in place?
Yeah, I actually am. And I know I'm in the minority on that. I know a lot of people kind of want a different playoff structure and system, but I love the way the NHL designs theirs. I think it makes for a lot of fun series and rivalries right off the bat. On the flip side, like I do acknowledge, especially in the, this Panthers Lightning round one series, a really, really, really good team is going to go home in round one. So that can be a bit of a stinger, but I think it's fun because you get this buy-in of the Battle of Florida. I know kind of on the West, it's Edmonton, LA again, but that's become, a classic and a fun one. And those two teams look really well. I think like I said, I am in the minority on this. I believe so, but I really like kind of having that divisional component before you get kind of to your conference there, and you're really getting the best of the best coming through every single round.
Sure, and I will say I am in the majority where I do not agree, but I certainly understand your standpoints where round one does produce some rivalries. Like I think I know Savannah Humoller, who is a content creator at in Dallas, works for the Stars, D210 Sports, and she didn't exactly say it like this, but I interpreted it like this from Stars fans. Death, Texas, Stars, Avs, round one. That's kind of
Yes.
how I kind of interpreted that. And it seems like in Florida, it's Death, Texas, Battle of Florida in round one.
Yes. Yes, pretty much. Yeah, I think um it was only 1 year we had Battle of Florida round two, if I am correct in that statement. But most of the time, like last year, it shook out to be Battle of Florida round one. So it is really, exciting and fun, and it's really great, especially for the state of Florida. One of my favorite fun facts is the Cup the past 5 years has run through Florida. Like there has been a representative, either the Lightning or the Panthers in the cup final, and kind of putting those, is Florida really a, hockey spot, those rumors kind of there to rest because it really is. And I know, the Lightning are my rivals, but I have so much respect just for their organization and kind of having to play them in those early years and take a lot of growing pains from that series because they always had the upper hand up until last year when we did beat them in round one. And now hopefully we will do the same thing again this year and beat them in round one.
Absolutely. And as for the Panthers case, I still remember in 2023, when of course Detroit was also in that Eastern Conference run, Florida was, correct me if I'm wrong, 6 points down with four to go. Does that sound about right?
We were down to the wire, so uncertain on the exact number, but yeah, it was a very, very narrow, needed some help from some other teams to get in into that wild card two spot. So yeah, it was a very down to the wire.
And somehow you guys were able to sneak in through the back door, I would say. Not necessarily back in, but
Yes.
sneak in through the side door. Face
Yes.
a Bruins team that I hardly ever predicted sweeps. I predicted a sweep. Beat
Yeah.
that team in seven, ride it to the Cup Finals to lose to a better Vegas team, let's be honest, and still ride that momentum through 2024 into a Stanley Cup victory.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
the last year and a half to 2 years have been the glory days of Panther
Yes.
fans, I would say. In fact,
Yeah, and speaking to that kind of first deep run, that was really a ride it until the wheels fall off because it was down to the wire to get in, facing, the historic best team of all time, Boston Bruins in a 7 game series, just kind of sneaking through. And I kind of think that underdog mentality and coming in, no one expected the Panthers to win that series at all. And I think it maybe let some of the pressure go because there was this expectation of, right, the Bruins were the team that year. And watching that, especially after going down in the series 3-1, I remember leaving the arena after um what was it, game four, and just kind of being like, okay, we did it. But I actually have a funny story with this one. A friend and I made a bet during game four when we were down, and he's like, we're not going to win this series. He's a Panthers fan. And I'm like, why are we rooting against our team? Let's still root for it. I'm rooting for the comeback. We can do it, partially believing it, delusionally that we could do it. And he's like, all right, we'll make a bet and maybe next season we'll get each other, the loser buys tickets or drinks at the game. And so I'm like, sure, whatever, kind of assuming I was gonna lose. So after coming back in that series and winning it, my friend was
and
like,
you
that
had the
was
SpongeBob ear to ear smile on
yes.
seeing this
Yes,
and afterward.
exactly. And he was like, you kind of had the loser end of that bet. So he did buy me a Bobrovsky jersey because that's my favorite player as
Oh,
a result. So I have my Bobrovsky jersey from that. Yeah, we were making so many side bets and deals that series. Another friend and I made one where we're like, okay, we're coming back. We made it over Twitter. We were friends through there. And we're like, when we win the series, we're buying game-winning jerseys of whoever scores, that game-winning goal. And Carter Verhaeghe in overtime scored that goal, which was crazy. I couldn't even believe my eyes. I think I blacked out for a second because I was so excited. I fell down, I broke a table. It was just like the craziest time. Popped back up, ran to my computer, bought the jersey because I wanted good energy sent out there. I'm like, I said I would do it. We bought our matching ones and wore them to round two. So a lot of fun memories. I know it didn't end, the way we would have wanted it to, but it just still reflecting back on that series, it was so much fun to go through that run.
I'm gonna page the Buffalo Bills because you mentioned going through a table. So I had
Yeah, unintentionally, went through the coffee table, broke the side of it. It's okay, worth it. I was so excited in my living room, just cheering, like, oh my gosh, like they did it. Like, just remember that moment so vividly. And of course, went on to reach the Stanley Cup final, which was the first in my lifetime, which was super exciting. Got to go to the two home games that we did have and be able to kind of see that experience with my own eyes. And then kind of leaving that series like, oh man, I wanted to win so bad. Like, and it's hard. There's no guarantees. And being able to run it back last year, obviously with a much more positive ending was
and thank God that they won Game 7 because I could not imagine the stories that could come out of
no, yeah.
Minnesota had Sam Reinhart not scored that goal.
It was
Dang it.
crazy. I went to that game by myself, game seven, and I was in a section with a bunch of Oilers fans because the
Uh-oh.
cheapest ticket was kind of on the Panthers shoot one side, which would be like kind of more the Edmonton side, opposing team side. And they were all had traveled from Edmonton or areas around Canada, came down, and I was thinking to myself when I sat down, we have to win or I can't be here if they don't. So I was like, please, please, I need to win this game. And obviously, we won the game, and it was super exciting because the game-winning goal was scored on my side. I could see that Sam Reinhart goal, even though I was up in the 300s. I could see the opening of the net there, and he shot it. And I remember seeing that so vividly. And the celebration, of course, was on that side as well when they won. So just being able to see that all with my own eyes was one of the craziest moments of my entire life. And I'm not sure if anything would ever top that, maybe except when we win again this year.
You never know. Ooh, some confidence there from
Yes.
Kassi Coviello
Yeah,
saying
I
she's gonna
have to
miss
have
it.
it. Yeah.
There you go. Well, yeah, that's good. It's good to be confident. So, Matt, moving towards this first round series, I guess we'll have the talking point of what's kind of your first thoughts coming to this.
Sure.
Tampa will have the home game 7 advantage, home ice advantage,
Yep.
but you guys got a few days to rest here because game 1 is
Yeah.
Tuesday.
I'm so surprised that our series is starting. We're the last series to start with a starting date on Tuesday, which is crazy to me because a lot of teams get to start tomorrow or Sunday through the weekend. And I'm like, okay, we have to wait till Tuesday, which is nice because I can just chill out, watch a couple of round one games without being fully nervous. But this one is going to be a crazy matchup. Obviously, I think last year we had a bit of an advantage against that Tampa team. And this year, just watching Tampa, they are so, elite. They know playoff hockey better than anyone. They are a tough team. They have so many great players. Obviously, they have one of the best goalies in the league, in Vasilevsky, and it's going to be a battle. The Battle of Florida is really the most accurate description for this. And it's going to be, really, exciting. If we can split kind of that first two, kind of on the road and come back home, I think we'll set ourselves up to be in a really good spot. Obviously, I have all the confidence in the world in the Panthers, and of course, I'd pick the Panthers to win this series. But it's going to be a battle, and it's going to be fun.
Absolutely. A couple of keys that I see, of course, from afar.
Yes.
I would say you got to find a way to stop Braden Point from finding the back of the net because he's got 42 goals on the year. He's
Yep.
going to be a point of emphasis. Nikita Kucherov's going to be tough with 121 points,
Yep.
84 assists. But you guys have on the other side Alexander Barkov and Sam Reinhart, who have just about points wise a little bit of a advantage there. But when it comes to goals, Reinhardt's got 39 versus point
Mhm.
42. Barkov has 51 assists. Okay, Kucherov's got a lot more, but
Of course,
you
yeah.
guys have top goal scorers that are very much
Yes.
for that hand in hand there.
Definitely. And I think a lot of the strengths that Tampa has, I think we can do a good job of mitigating them. Kind of reflecting back to last series, we really mitigated their scoring chances. They have a very lethal power play, kind of took that a bit of away in this series. Last year kind of held Kucherov, as much as bay as you can with a player like Kucherov. I think this year it's going to be even harder. Like I said, I think they have a better team this year. They've kind of really been firing on all cylinders. I think the Panthers' physical style of play is really going to be evident in this series and really trying to use that physicality without taking penalties because we do not, want to give them any extra power plays than necessary. I am excited to see kind of my X factor pick for this series in Brad Marchand because I think he's built for this series coming in into a huge rivalry setting for round one. I think it's really playing to his strengths. So I am excited to see him, be that X factor for the Florida Panthers, which is still crazy to say. Brad Marchand, a member of the Florida Panthers.
It's crazy that we've gone about 20, 25 minutes now and not even mentioned Brad Marchand's name once until now. But that tells you the strength of this Panthers team that they acquired somebody that was universally hated by the Florida
Yes,
Panthers until he became one. The classic quote, you either die a hero or live to see yourself become the villain, which in case in this point,
right?
the hero. But still,
Yes,
case in point, you have all that strength from the Panthers and Marchand joins it. That should
yes.
scare the rest of the National Hockey League. That's what I thought when I saw that trade come in. And of course, Detroit did. Detroit got Peter Mrazek and basically nothing else. So that when I saw that trade, I'm like, oh.
Yes. I remember when that trade broke, I just started laughing because it was just so funny to me. I just sat there and was like facing the Bruins in the playoffs the past 2 years in a row and like Brad Marchand getting traded from there and joining the Florida Panthers, it just took me just so by surprise. His name was a little bit out there because he was still, the contract negotiations, but there was no link like Brad Marchand to the Panthers. It really was something that shocked me. And I think I laughed for 20 minutes straight just because it was so just caught me so off guard and so funny. And I just had my, villainous laugh going because we just have some of the biggest villains. And I already was laughing about him having to play nice for Team Canada with Sam Bennett and Sam Reinhart. And then I'm like, he's going to be their teammate. And then just having flashbacks to that first matchup against them, him in game 5 on that breakaway, 10 seconds left. He could have put the Bruins, into the second round and Bobrovsky making that save. And I'm just having, these mental images of him having to go and walk into that locker room and be like, hey guys, I'm here, sort of thing. And it just was so funny and so exciting to see that.
Right. My cousin will appreciate me saying this. Now this will make two SpongeBob references I made on this show. The first one is
Perfect.
you like Krabby Patties, don't use Squidward with the smile. Now I'm thinking
Of
about
course.
Patrick villainous laugh when you're laughing with that for 20.
Yes.
But that is
Yes.
the case.
I
The
wish someone could have seen that or filmed that because it really was funny. Just watching it was just so hilarious and just the thought of it was awesome. And what was really cool is he actually, within a few weeks of being here, he did a signing. So I was able to meet him a few weeks ago, which was awesome. And he was so nice, so fun. Loved how he just immediately engaged with the Panthers fan base here. And he made a joke, how everyone was being so nice to him. And he was like, it was just so funny to see that. And, we did a photo and an autograph and you probably saw it went a little viral online. He signed my rat. It was so funny. I asked him, I was like, "Have you signed a few rats?" He's like, "Yeah, a few today." And then he told me I had the best rat, so confirmed. Rod Marchand says I have the best rat, so
There you go. And I can assure you this won't be the only time you'll be on this show because I want to hear those stories too over the
Yes.
course as time goes on, definitely. So I guess I can already punch a golden ticket back onto the show at some point. There you
Perfect.
go. But before we
I
get to the
love it.
series, absolutely. Before we get to the series predictions, though, what is the number
Yeah.
one thing that Paul Maurice stands on with his philosophies? Defense. And I'm sure
Yes.
with the Panthers, it's going to be a key factor in the series of the Panthers.
Yes. And I love, I think he said this last year during the run, is he, in his mind and the team's mind, they're playing for a game seven. And the mentality of do things in game one, two, every little play, every chance you're on the ice to continue to wear down your opponent so that when they get to a game seven, it's like, just pure exhaustion. So whether it makes it there or not, just continue to fight and do the hard work and do the things that aren't, flashy or glamorous, fight for the puck, get in the corner, throw the hits, throw the checks, all of these different things and just continue to wear down your opponent. And I think that's something we saw, the past 2 years on that run. And I'm sure is still the mindset heading into this year and this playoff year.
A mutual friend of ours, and you know her pretty well from Script Sports, Jess Boylock last year when after the Panthers beat the Lightning, she posted that the Panthers have exorcised the demons of the Lightning. Will they do that
Yes.
again this year?
Yes, I am, of course, rooting for the Florida Panthers. They can do it. I am predicting, Florida Panthers round one, win against the Lightning.
How many games?
I think it's going to take six. I think it'll be 6 games.
The 90s kid in me, which I am a 90s kid, appreciates this quote from Seinfeld. You beat Twisted, you beat the Lightning 6 games.
There
If
you go,
Seinfeld
six
fans that
games.
don't know that, yeah, I'm sure you'll look that up right afterwards and you'll get that reference. But I also predict the Panthers over the Lightning in 6. I think that they are best suited to win this series at Amerant Bank because if it goes back to
Yes,
Amalie, I don't think very good things are going to happen if it gets back to Amalie for Game 7.
totally agree.
So, with a few minutes left here, we'll kind of wrap around through the series. Just a quick pick 'em.
Sure,
No analysis necessary. We'll actually start with the East because we both picked the
sure.
Panthers. Um, their opponent would be winner of the Leafs and the Sens, the Battle of Ontario. Who you got?
In the Battle of Ontario, I have the Leafs coming out in 7. I am excited to see Brady Tkachuk. I would love to see, the Battle of the Tkachuk brothers in round two, but I think kind of an inexperienced Sens playoff team. I think the Leafs, after their great season, I think they'll come out of that one in 7.
I've got the Leafs in 5 in that one. I just because of the inexperience, I just don't see that going past 5 games in that point. But it is the Battle of Ontario. It could very well go 6 or 7.
A
Uh,
new classic.
Caps and Habs.
I'm gonna go a little wild on this one, and this is my upset of the year. I'm going to go with Montreal in 6. Something about that young team kind of getting their way into the playoffs. No one thought they were making the playoffs this year. I'm just gonna go wild and totally out there. This is no disrespect to the Caps and Ovechkin and their great season. I just have to pick a crazy one, and this is gonna be my crazy pick of the year. Habs in 6.
I'm a March Madness bracket picker, and you got to pick upsets sometimes. I'm going to go Caps in 6, but that could very well happen as the Habs were on the hot streak when Detroit needed to be. The Habs were on the hot streak, and that's how they got into the playoffs. So
Yeah.
that could realistically happen. To wrap up the East in the first round, Canes Devils.
I have Devils in 7. I think that's going to be a very, very tight series. But I think the Devils have the slight edge. So Devils in 7.
How sacrilegious on Good Friday you picked the Devils in 7, but
I know.
nonetheless, this will be on the air past Good Friday, so I get it. That was also my upset pick of this bracket was Devils in 7. I just think something tells me that that is going to happen. So to the West we go. The Wild Wild West. Shout out Will Smith. Jets and Blues.
I have the Jets because Connor Hellebuck is no words for him. I think he's going to be their X factor. I think he is that year after year, and I just don't see them losing that series. So I have the Jets in six, and just riding on Hellebuck.
I like that pick. Jets in five. Same reasons. Hellebuck has arguably perhaps been the MVP candidate. I
Yes,
watched a little bit of ESPN last night, and he's an MVP candidate, Connor Hellebuck. Like we were
definitely.
saying before, death taxes, stars, Avs.
Yes, I actually have the Avs in seven. I was, originally thinking Dallas, but something about that Avs team I'm really seeing a lot in. And then that injury to Jason Robertson in the last kind of game of the series for Dallas and already being rolled out for one and listed as week to week, makes me a little nervous for them. So I think the speed and the firepower of the Avs are going to prevail. So Avs in seven.
Dallas comes in on a 7-game losing streak. Panic in Dallas. But is it panic or patience? Jake Riepma, one of my friends, social friends I haven't met yet, says patience. I say panic, Avs in six.
There you go.
Knights and the Wild.
So I have Vegas. It pains me to say this because I do not like Vegas. I have them in six. I do see a lot in that Minnesota team, and if Kaprizov can go wild, no pun intended, it could be a totally different outcome. But that Vegas team looks real deep this year, that decor. So I'm gonna have to go Vegas in six.
It was very nice to see Marc-Andre Fleury end his regular season on a high note, but unfortunately for the Minnesota Wild, this is another season that ends on a low note. Knights in five. Last one, Kings, or in the words of PTI, I'm sure we've all seen it before. Last one, Kings Oilers.
I have the Kings this year, so I'm going Kings in seven. That's another kind of same round one matchup year after year, Kings Oilers, and I don't know. I feel like the Kings have it in them this year. I think they will win in seven. I think it will be close, but I have the Kings on top this year.
Edmonton remembers Game 7 just as Florida does, except their smiles are frowns. Very much so. And I think that the Oilers are very motivated by that Game 7 loss, and I think they may ride it all the way back. Oilers in
They
six.
could. Yeah, they definitely could. I mean, with McDavid and Draisaitl, it's very hard to count them out at any point. But like I said, I gotta have a crazy pick on each side every year. So
You never know what can happen, especially just go back to 2023 when your Panthers were that crazy pick.
exactly,
It happened. So, well,
exactly.
at this point, anything else that you may have to add to this edition of the show?
No, just thanks so much for having me. This was my podcast debut, so I'm really happy to be on your show. Very honored you asked me to be here. I hope we can connect again as the Panthers continue to advance. Wishful thinking here, positive attitude, and I'm really excited for all the playoff content and the games to come. So if any of your listeners are interested and following me or, getting to know me, I'm Kassi_Coviello on all social media. So, please feel free to reach out and send me some Panthers love.
There you have it. Great show. She is, and I apologize for the mispronunciation there to start, but
You're
Kassi
good.
Coviello.
Yes.
And this has
Yes.
been the Tom Green Podcast.